Apple, Facebook, Snapchat, and now Google want to take charge of how we get and see news on our phones.
Google becomes the latest company to announce a news-focused tool that it says will speed how fast stories load after a Google search, as reading news is increasingly something we do from a handheld gadget. Facebook in May started testing what it calls instant articles, which load news stories faster from a handful of publishers inside the social network's mobile app. Apple's News app came automatically built into the latest version of its mobile operating system, and the Discover feature of disappearing message app Snapchat launched in January. Bob Agnew reporting.
Congressman Trey Gowdy, chair of the committee investigating the 2012 Benghazi attack, says House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy screwed up when he suggested the probe was useful in driving down Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's poll numbers. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Mark your calendar for October 22nd through 24th as Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church in Newport News presents the Newport News Greek Festival Fall Edition, an indoor event inside the Hellenic Center. Enjoy Greek food, desserts, beverages, arts and crafts, and much more. Located at 60 Traverse Road off exit 258B on Route 17 in Newport News. For more, log on to newportnewsgreekfestival.org. See you at the Newport News Greek Festival Fall Edition, October 22nd through 24th. Opa!
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today. Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
And thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us. Greg Bicouvaris, this is Sports Scene on this October 7th. Hard to believe already into the fall weather right here. Glad it is finally fall because the humidity, Kenny, gets kind of old after a while.
Yeah, I'm about ready for fall.
Yeah, Sports Scene is an interview show every Wednesday from noon to 1, right here on News Talk 1650, your 10,000-watt voice of Hampton Roads, as well as TuneIn.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. TuneIn is really big. You can subscribe to my page also on YouTube on GJBTV.com. Tell your friends about 1650. Tell your friends about 1650 on Facebook, on Twitter. Greg Bick, Sports Highlight, GJBTV, and HR Online Mall.com. You can see it right there on the homepage of GJBTV.com. Thank you to our military and our great guest lineup. Sponsors on GJBTV.com homepage and marketplace sponsors as well. Guest lineup presented by Fink's Car Care with 2 Southside locations. Phone line presented by Hampton Roads OneLineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit. Sponsors this month, Hogar, Newport News Greek Festival, Spaghetti Eddies, and Fink's. Of course, a lot going on. The Dolphins got rid of their head coach. The Nationals did in baseball. The Yankees got beat yesterday. A lot more coming up. We'll be talking NFL in our first segment. This is Sports Scene right here, all presented by PapaJohns.com, official pizza sponsor of the NFL. Create your own pizza at Papa John's on Twitter. 1650 on the radio, TuneIn.com, type in WHKT, Sports Scene, Greg Bicouvaris along with Ken Johnson. Don't forget GJBTV.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows at Greg Bick on Twitter. Stay tuned.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today. Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in your mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road and on Eden Way North in Chesapeake for lunch and dinner. Like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is at Spaghetti Eddie's. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what? Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
All right, and welcome right here to News Talk 1650, your 10,000-watt voice of Hampton Roads, your home for the Baltimore Ravens as well as the Admirals. Of course, Greg Bicouvaris right here with Ken Johnson on Sports Scene. Don't forget, Sports Philosophy Show starts from 1 to 2 on November the 4th. Well, this first guest is kind of interesting, folks. I got to tell you, very personal here and very personal and near and dear to me as well. Way back before I even knew Rick Doc Walker, he played for UCLA. Well, my dad and mom got married in Columbus. They were big Ohio State fans. Who did Rick's team play back in the Rose Bowl? They played Ohio State and Woody Hayes. Who are two of his counterparts, of course, in Ohio State? Pete Johnson and the great Archie Griffin. Well, they all played together for the Bengals. And then when I decided to go to a college, I decided to go to George Mason from this area. Rick's family also has roots down here as well. When I was in college at Mason, a lot of us had contacts. I did a lot of work for CBS back then, still do today with Fox as well and other networks, and I've had a chance to work with Rick on TV as well for Raycom. This gentleman is what you call a real pro on and off the field. We even had something else in common, that he works for Red Zebra, and I did as well for Dan Snyder stations here in Virginia Beach for 6 years until he sold them 2 years ago. So it's a pleasure to interview Rick Doc Walker, former Bengal, former Redskin, and with ESPN 980. How are you, Rick?
Rick, I'm doing good, man. Just made it to the park, getting ready for another action-packed day.
Yeah.
In Wonderland.
Rick, it really is personal, too, because I remember you told me your wife's got roots down here in the Virginia Beach, Newport News area.
Yeah, she went to Bethel.
Yep.
And Hampton, whole 9 yards. So I spent a lot of time down there. Really like the James River. Love Hilton Village. There's a lot of really quaint spots that are there. I mean, Silverman's Furs, which is world-renowned. Mm-hmm. And Jurgen, the master craftsman for many, many years out there, good people. So I have a lot of friends in that area.
Right, talking to Rick Doc Walker, who was a tight end with the Bengals and the Redskins. You can hear him on ESPN 980 from 2 to 4 in the afternoons, and of course part of the Redskins radio network for several years, and also Comcast Sportsnet. I guess, Rick, it all started with you in the West Coast roots at UCLA playing for Coach Vermeil.
Well, no, it starts in Pop Warner.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where it starts, yeah. And then high school, which is the most important part of any guy's football history, is high school, being lucky enough to have good coaches, being able to win, and really understand it. I mean, the basis of football doesn't really change a whole lot. If you get a good start when you're young, then it really helps you. And it's a disadvantage if you end up with a jackass as a coach, or somebody that doesn't understand fundamentals, a yeller or screamer, and I call him Beer Belly Bud, who's out trying to do something he saw in Madden or read in a book, and that's what cripples. That's my number one thing, to make sure these people are singled out, because they just ruin kids, and they discourage them, don't give them an opportunity to grow, and it's very important, parents, that you don't trust your kids to anybody that has a whistle around their neck, but that you investigate them, that you go to practice, that you get involved, because it could affect your kid in a way they never recover from.
Yeah, because you didn't think a whole lot about concussions. You mentioned Pop Warner back then. Today it starts at that Pop Warner level.
Well, no, because I'm from an era where everything was, your manhood was tested. You know, I'm from the bull in the ring. I mean, that's just the way it was, because that's what everybody did. There's so much ignorance that was copied in the 60s and 70s with football. It's really amazing that many educated people could be that ignorant. I mean, we went 2.5, 3 hours without water.
Right.
We were considered a lesser of the sexes if you drank water.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then we were given salt tablets. It's amazing people have more kidney failure or whatever. It just, when I look back at the 60s and 70s, we were wearing rawhide type sweats, and like the jersey was made out of like burlap. Nothing breathable. That's like no Nike, no Under Armour, nothing breathable. It's amazing that more people didn't die in the 60s and 70s. But, you know, the body's resilient, and we got through it. And now I think we're overdoing it. You know, now we're to the point where, I mean, the kids almost have to be aquatic majors because we drown them in water, and we no contact, no technique, tackling's off of it. But it's a give and take. You know, when we, as a society, we love violence. We hide behind it, but we really love it. And that's what it's all about. And that's why it's a sport that makes so much money, because people just can't get enough of it.
Yeah, you talk about the same correlation in baseball with the inning count for pitchers resting their arm. You just didn't see that back in the day. You really didn't. Talking to Rick. Go ahead, Rick.
Kidding me?
I know it.
If I didn't pitch a complete game, I felt like I let the team down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking to Rick Doc Walker right here, Greg Bicouvaris. This is Sports Scene right here. Of course, Rick's part of the Redskins radio network right here. And when you talk about your days at UCLA, Rick, and you really had some great rivalries, of course, with USC. But it seemed like when you went to the Bengals with you and Archie and Ken Anderson, the fundamentals were there. You guys were taught the fundamentals. When you watch an NFL game today, whether it's Redskins or not, do you see the same desire and fundamentals?
Yeah, I do. I think the game is better now because, you know, the people are smarter. You have better athletes. There's year-round training. I mean, I'm from a generation that everybody played 4 sports. Now, and I urge young parents, do not let these coaches kidnap your children for a year. I mean, that's why Tommy John didn't even exist in my era. People were out. Guys were throwing double hitters. A guy like Juan Marshall, you know, all the old Negro League pitchers. The guys were throwing double hitters. And then, but they also, you know, we played all 4 sports. I mean, I never went home early for 4 years. My entire high school did. I never went home early until we had senior ditch day. It was. So I don't know. I don't know how you get around it. But we didn't wear our bodies in certain areas because we were cross-training by playing multiple sports. If a guy just going to pitch all year, I mean, I'd never let my son do that. Just no way. But that's what the whole deal is now. Basketball coach wants to play all year. No way. No way.
Right. Talking to Rick Doc Walker right here. This is 1650. TuneIn.com. Type in WHKT at Greg Bick on Twitter. Doc, you're active on Twitter. Go ahead and plug your Twitter handle.
Rick Doc Walker at Twitter. Yeah, but for Redskin fans and pure Neanderthals only.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, of course. We'll talk about you know your time with the Bengals a little bit, Rick. And of course, I've known you since I've literally been a kid. You know that since college. When you play with Anderson and Archie and Pete Johnson, and I'm still baffled to this day looking back at some of the tape, and I saw Archie play in college as a real youngster because my dad was such a big Ohio State fan that I think Archie today would do very well, kind of like a Sproles in the NFL, which we just saw on Sunday. You and I did.
Yeah, he's well. Archie was. It was great. We beat him in that Rose Bowl,
right.
And I'm drafted by the Bengals. We're there. Pete Johnson. We had 23 rookies. I had 3 coaches in 3 different years. I broke my arm twice my rookie year. I mean, the injury, I never missed a game, and then it was hard to stay healthy. Came back, started as a rookie, then got broke against the Broncos again. So it was interesting because football was different. I was in the Midwest, which also was different. And it was I'm so glad I was young because it would have killed me as being older. But young, you know, I'm from L.A. We didn't go out until midnight. In Cincinnati, the club's last call was midnight. So it was really a drastic, stark change for me. And then when you're hurt, it sucks. If you got cast on or boot for, foot injury, and then shoulder. It was just ridiculous. And we lost. And so coming from winning high school championship, college championship, and then you go there and you're 4-12, and I was from the West Coast, and the racists and the bigotry in the Midwest, I'd never seen it up close, and so you get hit with that, and KKK and all that other stuff. It was just real ugly, but training. It was a great developmental phase, and thank God being able to get out of it, away from it, and then to see how a real city operates, a football city. Cincinnati's a baseball city. And I'm nothing begrudging about them. They love the Reds. Just like here, they love the Redskins. And it's much better to be the firstborn. Trust me.
When you played back then for the Bengals, how active was the older Brown compared to his son back then? I know that this is all about the son now.
His father was a phenomenal leader. He was involved in everything. He was a dominant guy, really somewhat borderline disrespectful to his son. But he was just such a leader and so strong in his convictions. I mean, that's why I didn't even go on IR. He told me, you stay, you'll be back. You just stay whatever. I had to travel. He made me travel and everything. I mean, a guy breaks his arm today, you're gone. You're on IR.
Right.
You don't travel to every game and go to every meeting and have to, work out with a cast. But the dude, that's what he said. I was like, no problem. I was flattered. Yes, sir. I went to work. But in reality, he had won as an expansion team owner and head coach. And with the Browns, the Cleveland Browns were the Patriots in the 60s. And that's how powerful they were. And so, I learned a lot about leadership from Paul, and I also learned what it's like when people run an organization fiscally and not to win. And he won despite being Scrooged.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good he was. That's how smart they were. And their program has been in as many Super Bowls as a lot of people. They very seldom suck. They're always pretty good. I mean, when you start it off the right way and build it with football people, it's hard to be real bad. And they may be very good this year.
And, Doc, you look at the quarterbacks back then that threw you the ball. Ken Anderson played forever. Jim Hart played forever. Jaworski did. Sonny did, of course. Norm Snead did from this area as well. He played for the Giants toward the end of his career. Those quarterbacks back then seemed like they lasted forever. What is it with that? You still see Marino and Favre and, Manning and Brady still doing the same, but there aren't that many ones that stay in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, kind of like a Jim Hart did.
Yeah, game's a little different.
Yeah.
Guys call their own plays. You didn't train year-round for it. A lot of the injuries, I think, now are people are overtraining.
Right.
Guys, they had jobs then. Then they came to work, got in shape, played football, went home afterwards, went back to wherever they were from, spent 3 or 4 months with their family, 4 months, come back. Minicamp used to be exciting because you didn't see people for 3 or 4 months. Now you maybe 6 weeks at the most. In other words, you're back into it.
Right.
And the injuries are showing that statistically, I'm pretty sure it'll show that there's a lot more injuries now.
Right. Talking to Doc Walker right here. This is 1650. He's gracious enough to join us for another few more minutes right here. Busy training with the Redskins and watching them practice and so forth. And, of course, working for ESPN 980 every weekday afternoon from 2 to 4. You've seen him on ProView over the years on Comcast Sportsnet. Of course, you do a lot of shows right now on CSN as well. Yeah, Masson as well. Right. But you've been on both networks over the years.
Yeah, we started 13 years ago on Comcast, and sure did. And we're on about to start on TuneIn Radio. We'll be 24/7, where you can hear any one of over 100 one-on-one interviews with some pretty interesting people.
Sure. Talking to Doc Walker. All right, Doc, we were at the Skins game. What do you see so far? People say, well, the Eagles could have made a couple field goals, but at the same time, the Redskins could have beaten the Dolphins. They could easily be 3-1. They are what their record is, but the bottom line is they're 2-2, going to face a very tough Atlanta team, and of course they got a tough stretch coming up here. The Redskins do, that is, and of course it's not going to be any easier playing the Jets and even Tampa Bay in a few weeks, and of course you can go on and on with the Patriots and the Saints.
Well, I mean, it's just my philosophy that every week in the NFL is tough.
Right.
This is not college.
Right.
This is not high school. There's no bummers. Everybody in here can beat you. So I just don't buy into what most people say. Most people say that, and I don't believe that at all. But very few people have played in the league who talk about this stuff. But the people who haven't played in it talk. If you played in it, if you talk to a guy who works for the CIA or the FBI, he never has a day where he doesn't expect something bad could happen.
Right.
Because that's the nature of the business. This crap that people look at this, well, you don't know, everybody can beat you. They can beat Atlanta, and Atlanta, you hope Atlanta doesn't think they can, but they're ignorant if they don't, because everybody can beat you in this league. If you turn it over, if you don't get first downs, you can be beaten in this league, because it's pretty even, with the rare exception of the New Englands and the Green Bays and the Seattles. And Seattle is struggling in their own way. But I'd like to struggle that way if I can hold your opponents to 10 points a game. So that's my point. Nobody's perfect at this point, not in September.
We have one current Redskin on the roster from this area, of course, D'Angelo Hall. Of course, he has been injured, of course, against the Giants, was helped off the field with a toe injury. Of course, he's out for a few more weeks. And there are a lot of kids who love RG3. I know he's been a big topic for your station for several years. Of course, he was injured as well during the preseason. Will we ever see RG3 playing on any roster spot with the Redskins actively again?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
And nobody does. And I don't do fantasy, hypothetical. I don't do any of that. Because it's a waste of people's time.
Right.
Because nobody knows. He right now he's the third. Kirk Cousins was that last year. Look where he's at now. Colt's been there. You just got to fight it out. And you prepare. And if your turn comes up again, max out. If not, move on.
Mm-hmm. What is surprising you so far, Doc, with the season so far, not just with the Redskins, but the entire NFL? You mentioned the elite teams like the Packers and Denver's undefeated as well, and Seattle's winning in their own way. And, of course, the Patriots are always going to be there. But you see the Jets, brand new coach, 3-1, they're finding a way to win. Then you see Philbin, who was in Hard Knocks a few years ago, has definitely taken his Hard Knocks. He's gone. So there's been a lot of random stuff early on. It's still wide open.
Well, Todd Bowles is a great football mind.
Yeah.
It just shows you the ignorance of the league, that he had to wait this long to get a shot. He's been this way since he played for the Redskins.
Right.
He's always been the smartest guy on the field. And he showed people in Arizona by just, in the toughest division in football, he put the Cardinals in a position. They had their quarterback ever stayed healthy, it might have been what the Seattle Seahawks became. So it just shows you how backwards the league can be at sometimes, especially when it comes to minorities, hires.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not a blowhard. He doesn't talk a lot of trash, so he gets overlooked. Just like Dungy was overlooked. For some reason, our society, especially men of color, they want them to be real loud in order to get attention. If he's cerebral and doesn't say much, it's a negative. And that's the way it is. A guy like Ryan up in Buffalo gets hired multiple times, and I like him. But he's always got something to say, but his record just gets worse and worse. And he always gets hired, and that's the way the league and all sports, for the most part, tend to treat people of color.
Yep, it's sad. It really is. I'm a minority myself. I'm Greek. And there's always some type of drama with somebody. But guess what? You rise above all.
Yeah, Todd
stuff.
has done it. So did Dungy. It's
right.
It's just the way it goes, and you move beyond. But there are still a part for me that it's not about winning, because you can make a profit and not win in this league. So. Yeah. People to make these decisions, they're not pressed to do anything. Why should they? You don't have to win to make money. To me, you ought to be more profitable based on your wins. The whole thing should be set up that the teams that win more make more, but it's not.
Doc, you played at the highest level with UCLA, the Bengals, and the Redskins, and now you're in the media, and you've done it so well. And literally, like I said, I've known you since the late '80s and seen your career grow, just as much as you've played in the NFL or college, or even better. And you've excelled in radio, TV. You get sales, and not many former athletes sometimes understand the sales part. You understand that so well with your internet, with the websites. I know firsthand because I know you personally, so I see all that. But a lot of times people think they can just show up to a game, not prepare, and just do it. You really take full advantage like it's your first day on the air. And sometimes you work with people that, claim to know everything, and you played the game, so you have a little bit more understanding of what it is like to play UMB Mitch and so forth. And I know you always joke with the coach, Kevin Sheehan, but you played the game and you understand broadcasting just as well.
Well, I like to eat.
Yeah.
And they stop feeding you. As soon as they get rid of you, they stop paying you. So I don't understand. Also, the good news about playing in a non-cash era, as I did, is that I knew, again, Larry Brown had a job. Larry Brown was doing commercial real estate when I got here in '80. Joe Theismann, the restaurant business. Mark Mosley had a booth. But people were in business. That's the greatest thing ever happened.
Right.
To me. These guys now make so much money that they don't seek outside interest. Now, Pierre Garçon does. He's one of the best ever because he hit the ground running. He's done more in the city that he didn't play in than most guys that played their whole career here because he gets it, and he's not lazy. What the money does, it intoxicates people, and guys just get lazy, and they work out, and they're not lazy players; they're exceptional players. But they spend a lot of time thinking that the money will never go away, and the money always goes away. And so I think that it depends on what you want to do. I tell you, I still have a big appetite and love to eat.
Yeah.
And they don't give me food at Giant or Safeway; they make me pay for it. And so since they make me pay for it, I got to go out and earn it. And that's the way it goes. You have to understand that once one thing ends, I never go backwards. I go forward. And you got to create a market. You got to create what you got to do unless you want to go in. I'm not good in manual labor. And so I like air conditioning. So I figured I better try to position myself, although I work outside for 3 or 4 hours a week, but that's going to be about it.
Yeah. Talking the final few moments with Doc Walker, but you mentioned that too, and you mentioned go back to the coaching and bowls. But look at Ryan's brother, who's an assistant with the Saints. A lot of people say he hasn't gotten a job because of his hair. Is that fair?
He hasn't gotten a job because his defenses aren't very consistent.
Oh, I agree as well.
I don't think he's a very good coach at all. I think he's a blowhard, but he's got the right name, right look. I don't mind. I don't care if the owner will allow it. That's on ownership. There are a lot of guys. We have a good kid here, the big gator, man. He got tackled by his hair. And I'm going to myself, does somebody have the guts to tell him to put it in a pony or tie it up in a ponytail and to put himself in a position to where he can be more elusive?
Right.
Why didn't somebody say that to him? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But apparently, the communications in pro ball is not what people think it is. I think there are a lot of people afraid to talk to the players that they pay. Yeah, but, that's just me. I don't see it like everybody else sees it. I think there's a lot of things that are confusing to me, but if they let him get away with it,
Yeah,
he'll do it.
And you go back to the Redskins and the remainder of the season. Right now it's 2-2. It's looking solid, but of course every day is a work in progress. You never know what's going to happen. Of course, they're playing a tough Falcons team on the road. The good thing is in a dome. I know you don't like cold weather. I know you've always said that, but does this help the Redskins at all playing inside, Doc?
Well, who do you know that likes cold weather? I want
the Vikings. The Vikings.
Well, no, they don't. They're dealing with it. I don't know anybody that would prefer it.
Yeah.
But other than Eskimos, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it matters. I'm not the right person for those type of deals because I don't give a damn what the surface is, what the climate is. You got to play in it.
Yeah.
You start making people soft by saying, "Well, do you like that?" I don't care what they like. Here's where we playing. Parking lot, rooftop, whatever.
Right.
Who cares what it is? Everybody's got to play on it. We're both playing on the same surface.
Right.
I'm not conditioned that way. I think that is why people don't win. They're I mean, whatever. You don't control the weather. You don't control any of that. Just go deal with it.
Yep. Doc, thank you so much. I'll never forget as a kid, we were sitting right in your restaurant, and it was back in '88. You remember, and I was just a 21-year-old kid back then. He says, I like you, Greg, but you got a lot of fire in you. You have no idea, Doc, some of the words you tell as a kid, when I was a kid, that helped me in my career. You never knew that. I never told you that. But just like you talk about starts in Pop Warner, sometimes even the person who had a lot of stuff with the TV and radio as myself, sometimes we need that extra boost. And I want to tell you, thank you for being a mentor as well to me in college as well.
Well, I was mentored, and that's the whole thing about it, man. You gotta, pass it down. I knew, Greg, you were gonna have a face for radio, so I said, let me make sure I put you in the right position early on.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Hey,
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Doc. All the best to you, my friend. Okay, Doc Walker right there from the
Bye-bye.
Redskins Radio Network. Kenny, of course. Yours truly is very good looking, by the way. But, as he really gets as a former player, Ken, a lot of times they're entitled, but he really, really just was a great athlete on and off the field in broadcasting as well.
And a good guy. The line about the face made for radio.
Yes.
How many times have we heard that?
Oh, of course. All right, folks, before we take a break, don't forget we have the Butcher's Son Chop House in Chesapeake serving the finest in steaks and seafood. This premier establishment serves antibiotic-free, hormone-free, and humanely treated beef, poultry, and pork. Like the Butcher's Son Chop House on Facebook, and they're open 7 days a week at 5 p.m. with Sunday brunch at 9 a.m. Call 410-5466 and visit them at 500 South Battlefield Boulevard in Great Bridge Marketplace for a dining experience to remember. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Sports Scene. This is 1650 a.m. Greg Bick on Twitter. Back after these messages. Mark your calendar for October 22nd through 24th as Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church in Newport News presents the Newport News Greek Festival Fall Edition, an indoor event inside the Hellenic Center. Enjoy Greek food, desserts, beverages, arts and crafts, and much more. Located at 60 Traverse Road off exit 258B on Route 17 in Newport News. For more, log on to newportnewsgreekfestival.org. See you at the Newport News Greek Festival Fall Edition, October 22nd through 24th.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by Hampton Roads Online Mall.com.
And there's so many ways you can interact, folks. GJBTV.com. Hit the YouTube link for archived shows. Find me on LinkedIn. Find Greg Bicouvaris on Facebook. Greg Bick on Twitter. GJBTV.com, of course, is your website for sponsors and the marketplace sponsors as well. Hampton Roads Online Mall.com. Browse, shop, and visit. As well, save the date for Sports Scene every Wednesday from 12 to 1. Business Spotlight Scene. What Teased Me Off. Sports highlights on NMPSTV.com, as well as great guests as well. Don't forget Saffron Mediterranean Cuisine in the Hilton Village section of Newport News at 10417 Warwick Boulevard. Give them a call at 223-9978. Daily lunch buffet Monday through Friday. You can't beat it for $11.95. Cold appetizers, hot appetizers, entrees, fish as well. Kids menu, desserts, all going on right there at Saffron Mediterranean Cuisine, home of shish kebabs as well. Great stews, assorted wraps as well, desserts. Really a great place, great lunch menu and buffet Monday through Friday at Saffron Mediterranean Cuisine as well. And also we want to remind you that Sports Highlights is on NNPSTV.com. Sports interview show as well. October edition features Ray Savage, former Virginia football player. You don't want to miss that. Excellent interview right there with Ray Savage right there. Kenny, have we got our next guest on?
Yeah, Mitch is ready.
All right, let's go to Mitchell Bradley. We've had him on here before from ESPN 950 in Richmond. Mitchell, you're following Rick Doc Walker, my friend. You have a lot to look up to here, buddy.
Yeah, good to have you on, or good to be with you there, Mr. Bicouvaris, and good to follow up the legendary Doc Walker.
Of course, we both work with him. You work with him in radio, and I radio and TV both. And it's kind of funny too when you look at who we work for and who you still work for. The Redskins. Not a lot of people still know this. It's kind of a secret that the Redskins owned our radio station that I used to work for in Virginia Beach for 6 years. They owned yours for several years as well in Richmond, and of course the DC stations. It really is not just about football; it's about multimedia now as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're more than just the Redskins here in Richmond, as you guys were at the time down in Virginia Beach, and as they are even up in the heart of Redskins country. So just because we're owned by the Redskins doesn't mean we're, censored by the Redskins or they're watching everything we say. We certainly have our own opinions and own comments, and as long as we can back them up with facts, they're okay with what we have to say down here in Richmond, and it's a great company to work for, and looking forward to how this Redskins season has started and how the way it looks like it's headed.
Well, yep, it's 2-2. Talking to Mitchell Bradley from ESPN 950 in Richmond. Listen, before we talk about the Redskins right now, let's talk about the last 3 years in the summer. The pros and the cons of the Redskins being in Richmond. Of course, in 2013, it was great. It was a brand new novelty type thing as well. But is the novelty wearing off, and are the players still into it after year 3?
I wouldn't say that the novelty's wearing off. I think the record the previous season certainly had something to do with it. The Redskins were coming off that division win in when they won the NFC East in 2012 when the RG3 had the run there, and then they were here the next summer. So that certainly helped and built some anticipation for the team coming, and there was plenty of enthusiasm. Last year, or in 2014, rather, we had the Patriots here, and of course that drew a huge crowd, and that was the kind of the start of their run to the Super Bowl this past year. And then they brought in the Texans this past year, which had a lot of local flavor with several kids from William and Mary and throughout the area. So I wouldn't say that the novelty is wearing off per se, but I mean, I do believe if they have a 9-7 record and something to show on coming into next training camp, that things will be good. But I mean, it's a great opportunity for the city. It's from a radio station point of view. It's an absolutely great opportunity for us. We broadcast out there 10 hours every day that the team is in town. So we love the opportunity, and hopefully they're going to fulfill their contract and at least be here for 5 more years, if not longer.
Talking to Mitchell Bradley, Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us right here on Sports Scene News Talk 1650 at 1241. Find me on Facebook at Greg Bicouvaris. Mitchell Bradley's also on Facebook. Now, baseball going on now, folks. Cubs, Pirates. You got Texas, Toronto, Houston, Kansas City. The Yankees were eliminated. Mitchell, your station carried the Nationals. What a disappointing year for the Nationals. They cleaned house, got rid of Williams, and they just never could get any momentum after the All-Star break.
Yeah, as a fan personally, you kind of wanted them to turn things around. Hopefully, as the time was dwindling down, there was kind of that last gasp that maybe they'll get it done and they can win just enough, and maybe they'll have 3 games left and they'll only be 3 down to the Mets and they can somehow force a playoff. And it just never worked out that way, and unfortunate for Matt Williams and the way it's going to end for some of those players, because there were certainly high expectations this year. But you do move on, and hopefully they'll make some big off-season signings, and they'll be a contender next year. But it certainly has been a disappointment that the way things were expected. They were expected to be playing still, and the way that things ended with the whole Bryce Harper and Jonathan Papelbon situation certainly was a ugly ending for a disappointing season.
In the preseason game against Detroit, Robert Griffin III, who was then the starting quarterback, was injured. He suffered a concussion and a shoulder stinger. Griffin passed the league's concussion protocol test last few weeks, but not until after he lost the starting quarterback job to Kirk Cousins. That's where we stand today, 2-2. Easily could be 3-1, or they could be even less. They could be 1-3 if the Eagles would have made some field goals. Regardless, they are what their record are, and of course, they still got a very tough schedule with the Falcons, Jets, Bucks, Patriots, and Saints coming up.
Yeah, tough test. And that whole RG3 story, I was on vacation when that kind of happened, and you think 1 minute, oh, he's cleared to go, and, the next day you're reading, well, maybe he's not cleared to go. What in the world's going on? So the way that whole thing transpired in just a series of days was just crazy. But, it's kind of way, unfortunately, the organization has been the past few years. But hopefully they're turning the ship and things are going to be better. And this 2-2 start, like you said, they could be 3-1 the way the Dolphins have played since they played the Redskins. Makes you wonder, well, maybe if they'd have gotten them week 2 or something, if things hadn't have been a little different. But Kirk Cousins has looked good, and he's been impressive the first 4 games, and hopefully he can kind of take everything that he's learned and continue to build on that. And as you said, they've got a tough situation coming up and a test as they head down to Atlanta this week. They've certainly been impressive the first month of the season, and maybe they can get another win. I told somebody the other day, maybe Atlanta's due for a loss, and it's a good time for Washington to head down to the Georgia Dome and pick up a victory on the road.
Oh, and thank you, Mitchell, also for coming down to the TV program next Thursday, my friend. You were just
looking forward to it. We'll be down 64 East Thursday afternoon. Look forward to seeing you in person for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always see you at VCU basketball games, which means, of course, that's not too far away. Practice around the corner. No Shaka Smart. How will VCU do? And your thoughts on the buzz? The TV coverage by ESPN is not there this year. It's there a little, but not like it has been in the past when Shaka was there. Are you a little surprised?
Yeah, a little surprised, but I mean, with the change and the way things finished last year, maybe some of that glory is worn off with VCU. I mean, they had the Final Four run several years ago and haven't made it back yet. But I think Will Wade's got a great team that he has got this year, and he's going to get his pieces together. Maybe it doesn't start off perfect, but I mean, he's a good coach, and he certainly was with Coach Smart while he was here at VCU. So VCU will be fine. It should be an exciting year for them, and as always, the Atlantic 10 basketball is always a great conference to watch, and once we get into January and the conference schedule starts out.
Yeah, the corporate office based right in Newport News. Well, give my best to Buck and Sharon, and we will see you in about a week or so, my friend.
Absolutely, Greg. Thanks for having me on, and we'll see you in person next Thursday.
My pleasure, Mitchell. Always a pleasure to talk to you. All right.
Talk to you soon.
Very good. Mitchell Bradley right there from ESPN 950. And, of course, the Redskins can't have their training camp right there in Richmond, so the fans, young and old, get a chance to see them play. Now, that's the only time the Redskins have a good record, though, is in the summer before the season starts.
Well, it is what it is.
Exactly. All right. Stay tuned, folks. This is Sports Scene. Of course, we'll come back right here on 1650 after these messages.
Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in your mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road and on Eden Way North in Chesapeake for lunch and dinner. Like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is at Spaghetti Eddie's. When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today.
Mi Hogar is your restaurant for the finest Mexican cuisine in Hampton Roads. At Mi Hogar, everything is prepared fresh in a casual atmosphere. Enjoy traditional favorites such as quesadillas, tacos, burritos, and fajitas, as well as refreshing beverages. Mi Hogar has 2 locations, 4201 Granby Street in Norfolk and 801 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Call ahead at 640-7705. At Mi Hogar, there is something for everyone.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
It's funny, you got Batman and Superman next year, Kenny. Of course, you got Star Wars. You and I have been talking about that all summer and all fall long, just around the corner. And normally when Lucas had movies, Ken, it seemed like there was more hype than there is now. Why is that, you think? I'm not seeing the hype like I have the frenzy because there's no more Darth Vader, no more Yoda. Is that why?
No, you don't need it. The word of mouth, the buzz is out.
People are calling. Actually, they started calling 3 or 4 months ago, wanting to buy tickets at the theater over in Portsmouth.
Right.
For the movie.
Right.
3 or 4 months ago.
Wow.
The word is from people who haven't even seen all of it, just seen the trailer, it's going to be the best movie of all time. It's estimated to clean box office records of all time. Why hype it? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's doing fine. If it ain't broken, don't mess with it.
All right, Kenny, remember these words, my friend. Upbeat jazz music, my friend.
Upbeat jazz.
You got
I'll
it.
figure something out.
All right, of course, folks, just in case you're just tuning in, Kenny and I used to work together at another radio station for several years, for 6 years. Matter of fact, he's the producer, of course, and of course, he co-hosts the show on the weekends from 8 to 9 as well. We get it done. And don't forget Sports Philosophy with Daryl Cummings coming up at 1 o'clock starting November 4th. That day, the Admirals play in the morning. There will be no sports scene that day, so it'll be like him jumping off the plank in the deep blue sea, and the only anchor will be you, my friend.
There's a scary spot.
All right, let's welcome from High Tide Teas, Brenda Van Dorn. How are you, Brenda?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing today?
Very good. Finally, some pretty weather in Hampton Roads.
Oh, thank goodness, finally.
I was just tired of that rain and so forth. How was the flooding in Virginia Beach? Was there any?
Where I was, it wasn't really that bad. Thank goodness. But my son goes to ODU, and I think he had to swim to class a couple times.
There you go. All right, gjbtv.com, the homepage. You'll see the link on the homepage for High Tide Teas. Talk about the screen printing and what exactly you guys do over there.
Greg, we do all kinds of stuff. We do screen printing for schools, all kinds of clubs, and companies. You're talking about the weather change. It's starting to get a little chilly out there, especially for me because I love the beach. But with the cool air also comes time for hoodies, sweatshirts, and things like that. So that's what we're really gearing up for right now.
Well, how about the people like me who are cynics about hoodies? And here's my opinion about hoodies, Brenda, is that they strangle me. I like ties. I feel like, when a guy has to wear a tie, it's like, I'm luckily I own my own business. I don't have to wear a tie. But when I was on my church board, Kenny, I had to wear a tie and I was miserable. But you have a lot of clothes besides hoodies, too, that is good winter wear as well.
Well, we do. And I think the one reason people like hoodies so much is because it's not like putting on a jacket and taking off a jacket.
Yeah.
If you're going to wear it out real fast, you can throw it on. You don't have to worry about an extra piece of garment, really. So there is a place for them, but we also do jackets. So if you want a jacket embroidered or a polo sweatshirt or something like that, basically anything you want, we can get for you.
Well, give us all the good stuff. How do people get a hold of you, and also social media, too?
Social media is High Tide Screen Printing. That's for Facebook. And my email is brenda@hightidesteas.com. And, of course, our website is hightidesteas.com.
And, of course, your phone number?
Phone number is 757-627-8337.
Very good, of course. And it's always, are you impressed by how much it changed with the technology that you and your husband have at your fingertips to do all this type of work?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, we started out with screen printing only, and now we can do direct-to-garment, which kind of opens up a whole new door for us. You can get more colors on a garment for less pieces. We do the embroidery. I mean, the options are just crazy out there now.
And you got so much to choose from, of course, folks. It's getting fall. It's winter right now. High Tide Teas. Go to gjbtv.com. See their link on the homepage. And, Brenda, all the best, and I'll be talking to you very soon.
You're awesome. I appreciate it. Talk to you real soon.
My pleasure. Thank you, Brenda. All right, Kenny, of course, it's that time of the year. I mean, I personally don't need winter stuff right now, and hoodies are great, and of course she's got a great thing going there, but I don't like to be strangled wearing clothes. How about you?
I prefer open collar to give me some irritability.
Exactly.
But I guess hoodies have gotten a bad rap because they're part of that whole gangster rap scene thing, and they're not what they used to be. They used to be seen as somebody that would be an athlete or somebody who was just outside and active. The image has changed. Now you see a hoodie and you think, oh, gee, are they going to pull the gun and rob me or what? So, yeah, I guess the popular gangster culture has kind of taken the hoodie thing and turned it to something that's not so positive.
All right, before we get to what tees me off, don't forget CP Shuckers. A local tradition is CP Shuckers with locations in Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue. People love their prime ribs, seafood, pasta, burgers, wings, and much more. Wednesday night, Chef Leon has bar bites at Shore Drive location. Monday night is wing and shrimp night, and Tuesday is crab leg night. Wear your college team attire this Saturday, and every Saturday get half off all pitchers. Go by and see Matt and Mark and their friendly staff. Your home for the baseball postseason is CP Shuckers. They only have baseball, they have everything there. They have it all. Football, all the sports, showcasing the SEC, Big Ten, Pac-12, college and NFL games. Like both locations on Facebook and log on to cpshuckers.com. Eat or be eaten at CP Shuckers. And how it works, folks, they're on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com supports WHKT. And, of course, that's how the synergy all works, as well as me doing the shows here every week, too, and also the Sports Philosophy coming up from 1 to 2 on November 4th. And, of course, live music as well, right there at CP Shuckers, your home for the baseball postseason, NFL, and college football. Of course, Ken, let's get to what tees me off.
What tees you off? Presented by GJBTV.com.
Ken, the hyped weather this past week, oh my God, stay inside, don't drive. Well, I was in Norfolk Friday, I didn't see any issues. Sure there was some flooding, Kenny, but not all the 757 and 804 area codes had the same weather.
No, but there are some parts of Norfolk where a friend of mine and I were just talking about that yesterday, as a matter of fact. It took them, what normally would take about 10 minutes, took them 45 minutes just to get around in Norfolk because of this street was closed, go to this street. Well, this street was closed, go to this street. No, that street's flooded too. So, yeah, it can be an issue.
Right. Ken, we're talking, of course, what tees me off, folks. So laziness, Ken, just laziness in general. Yeah. Business or pleasure.
Yeah, either way. Just if you're going to do it, do it. If not, don't even bother.
Ken, people who hang around the office and look like they're busy, but they're doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, pretend to be doing stuff like, I don't know, pretending to be doing a radio show at an event when you're actually not doing anything at all.
Or production or whatever it is behind the scenes. Ken, listen to this one. I got a former neighbor, people who rent, Ken, repeat rent, leave the property, and keep checking on it. Really? You rent it. You don't even own the property. Why are you checking on the grass? Who cares?
They're renting it?
Yeah, and they feel like they own it. Well, own it, that's different. You've heard the expression, own it.
Yeah.
All right, Virginia Tech in football. It's time to make a change. Mike London, bye-bye. Frank Beamer, you look like you just got out of a nursing home. It's time to leave. Also, Ken, taking the trash out only to realize the city postponed it one day.
They're not very proactive about letting people know, but you have to go to their website.
Right. People who pop up in your lives occasionally, Ken. You know who they are. The random people pop up who don't initiate, who don't make an effort.
Yeah, just kind of show up.
Yeah. All right. Old Dominion football, please do this. Win and then talk. Until then, be seen and not heard. Ken, they constantly get beat, and all we ever hear is how young they are.
Well,
your kids are young, Ken. Adults from 18 to 22 are not young, in my opinion.
No, and age doesn't always make a difference. Oddly enough, today we're celebrating the birthday of Mary Badham, living in Richmond, I believe is last I heard. She got an Academy Award nomination for her very first role in To Kill a Mockingbird. She was, I think, 7, 8 years old, something like that, very young. So age, yeah, not so much.
I don't hear how young they are. All right, Ken, last thing for what teased me off, creepy people at libraries. Ugh! You know the ones that just linger around there. They're not doing anything.
Yeah, and some of them are homeless, and some of them are just kind of lurking.
All right, one more restaurant mention, then Ken and I will wrap it up. Thai Cuisine, 212 Arthur Way in Newport News, 234-0099. Open for lunch and dinner. Great buffet, of course. Soup, salads, appetizers as well. Right there at the restaurant, they got curry, they got everything you want. Thai, famous dishes, right there. Excellent food in Newport News. Go by and see the friendly staff. And right there in the Oyster Point section by Victory Boulevard, Thai Cuisine, 234-0099. Great lunch and dinner, salads, appetizers, soup, chicken dishes, fried rice, noodles, the beef Siam. They got salmon, they got it all. Kind of like a buffet of food, although they don't technically have the buffet. But Ken, so many restaurants now have so many things to choose from. It's not like it used to be where you can only pick maybe a handful of items. The whole buffet spread is really the menu without even having a buffet. Piccadilly, in a way, is a buffet, although it's not all you can eat.
Yeah, and just as even the fast food places, if you look at pictures of menus from McDonald's or Taco Bell from 30, 40 years ago, they had, 8 items, maybe at the most?
Now McDonald's is breakfast all day.
Well, some of it.
And they select items. And one restaurant, Bojangles, used to have a chicken buffet. So there's just so many different buffets now. But in my opinion, eat a la carte, of course. I want to thank our great guests as well today. We had Rick Doc Walker from ESPN 980. You can hear him from 2 to 4 right there on ESPN980.com. Play for the Redskins and the Bengals, talking about the Redskins today and also how they were when he played. Also want to thank as well our great sponsors and also Mitchell Bradley from ESPN 950 talking NFL and a little baseball, and Brenda Van Dorn in our business spotlight scene talking from High Tide Tees as well. Don't forget gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows. At Greg Bick on Twitter, at GJBTV, HROnlineMall.com, and of course Sports Highlight, of course, as well. High school football tonight at 7 o'clock on NNPS TV, Cox Cable 47, 517 in Newport News between Menchville and Heritage. Redskins, of course, this week take on the Falcons. And Ken, we're now your home for the Admirals for the second year in a row. Is that correct?
That is correct. We'll be having the Admirals games, and I'm not sure when the coaches game and the Admirals Hour start up. I
understand there is none this year.
There is none? Oh, okay. Well, if they do it, we'll let you know when.
You won't be here anyway during the hour anyway. All right, Kenny, take it away, my friend. I'm Greg Bicouvaris. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. Don't forget, gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link. We'll talk to you soon.
Dennis Prager is up next.
How much your business could
Glenn
qualify?
Beck. What are you doing? Glenn Beck coming up at 3 o'clock. I have no idea who that guy is. And we've got the news coming up next on AM 1650 WHKT in Portsmouth. It's 1 p.m. Let's hope we have the news. Come on, Bing, give it to me.